Now students, let us prepare accounting equation from these transactions. The transactions are given here. The first one being started business with cash, rupees 5 lakhs. Purchase goods on credit, rupees 60,000. The third one being paid wages, rupees 10,000. And the last one being purchase goods for cash, rupees 20,000. Now students, before we start solving it, let us reiterate that the point of view that we are going to consider here is the view from the business. That is, the effect of these transactions should be from the point of view of business. So I'm just writing it here for your convenience sake. Point of view of business should be considered. Of business. Now students, let us understand first transaction. Started business with cash. Now, started business with cash. From the point of view of business, there are two effects that are there in this transaction. The first one being that the owner is bringing cash. Now, cash is an asset, we know it has certain value. So, in asset column, we'll create a separate column for cash. Cash, the business has received cash worth rupees 5 lakhs. Now, this is the first aspect. We know that dual aspect principle says that there must be a second aspect also. Now, the second aspect is that the business has been started by owner. Now, the owner's money is represented through capital. So, let us enter this 5 lakh here as well. So, that clears the double entry concept, that the owner is bringing in a cash of rupees 5 lakh. Since the owner is bringing, his capital has increased by 5 lakh and business has received an asset in the form of cash worth rupees 5 lakh. Now students, coming to the second transaction. Purchased goods on credit. We have purchased goods on credit. Now, goods are our assets. You can mention them as stock as well. So, what will be the effect? Since we have purchased it, we are getting an asset in the form of stock, or in some cases, you might write it as goods also. Since the business is getting assets worth rupees 60,000, it must be added to assets but under the column of stock, since it is a separate class of assets. Now, these goods are being purchased on credit. Credit means our liabilities have increased. We have to pay this amount of 60,000 to some person from whom we have purchased these goods. So, there will be a corresponding increase in our liabilities to the extent of rupees 60,000. We must mention that these are our creditors. Now students, what is the double effect of this transaction? Let us repeat it. We have purchased goods worth rupees 60,000. So there is an increase under the asset column in the category of stock by rupees 60,000. Plus we have to pay an amount of 60,000. So correspondingly our liabilities have increased and they will be under the category of creditors. Once we have two transactions with us, we must total it out and check that they are equal. We will write it as new equation here. Now the new equation says that we have a cash of rupees 5 lakh and a stock of rupees 60,000. Don't add different columns together, just show them separately. We have a capital of 5 lakh and creditors to the extent of 60,000. And you can see that the total on the both sides is 5 lakh 60,000, which is equal. Now, coming to the third transaction, paid wages. Obviously, paid means payment in cash. Now, since we are paying cash, so there will be a reduction in the amount of cash. Cash is our asset. So, we must reduce this cash by rupees 10,000. So, I am writing minus 10,000 under the column of cash. Now, the second effect. Wages are an expense for the business and the expenses would have to be paid for by the owner. Since the owner is paying it, his capital would be reduced by 10,000. So both the effects have been illustrated. The first one being that there is a reduction in the cash for rupees 10,000, and the second one being, since the owner has paid, his capital would be reduced by 10,000. Now again, two transactions are there. One is the new equation and the other one being the third entry that we have just done. Let us check by preparing new equation by totaling them. Now we have a cash of 4,90,000. We have assets worth rupees 60,000. We have capital of rupees 4,90,000 and liabilities still stand at rupees 60,000. Now you can see that the total on both the sides is 5,50,000. Now students, coming to the last transaction in this example, purchased goods for cash. Now we have purchased goods. Since we have purchased goods, so there must be an increase in the stock. By what amount? 25,000. We already have a column of stock. So the effect of this transaction would be that the stock will increase by 25,000. What will be the second effect? Students, it is very clear that we have paid cash. Since we have paid cash, that means there should be a corresponding decrease in the amount of cash. So let us deduct 25,000 from cash. Let us understand it again. We have purchased goods worth rupees 25,000 by paying in cash. Since we have purchased goods, there is a corresponding increase in the value of stock and a decrease in the amount of cash that we have paid. Now students, again, let us find new equation and verify whether they are equal or not. Subtracting this amount, this will be 4,65,000. This will be 85,000. This amount will be 4,90,000 and this would be 60,000. And this can be easily verified that the total on the both sides is 5,50,000.